Good morning, guys. Welcome back. So, I have not yet touched on the subject of this potential freight rail worker strike, and there's a reason for it. If you've been with me for a while, you probably know that I don't touch on the breaking news. I don't come out and talk about all these breaking topics because there are plenty of other YouTube channels and news stations covering this stuff. So, if you want that information, you can find it all over the place. That's just not how I do my channel, and other people who do that, more power to you, because I'm very thankful for the information that you give. What I like to do is when something breaking that could potentially be a prepper important topic, I like to wait and see. I like to wait and gather intel. I like to listen to a bunch of different YouTube channels because everyone has their own perspective, their own ideas, their own input, maybe some information that another channel doesn't have. So I like to gather all that information before I even formulate an idea, because I just like to have all different perspectives so that I can glean what I believe to be truth. Because sometimes something will come out and you don't have all the information, but people want to put out this information immediately because they want to be the first one to talk about it. But they don't have all the background information, or they haven't gathered enough intel to develop a good opinion on it, or a good outlook, I guess. Anyway, I haven't touched on the freight rail worker strike thing, but tomorrow apparently would be the day, if they did decide to strike, that they did it. Apparently about 40 minutes ago, as of now, they struck some kind of tentative agreement. So that's looking hopeful. I'd like to be optimistic about it, but I always like to play both sides and think about it from both angles. We would like to be optimistic and hope that the administration does something about it, that the unions do something about it, and that they can come to some kind of agreement and stop this strike. Of course, there's the alternative side that they actually do go on strike, and it creates all sorts of chaos. It decimates our supply chain, because this will trickle down. If it does happen, it will trickle down to every single industry out there. It will have severe effects if it happens. So a part of me, of course, needs to think about that, and you do too, because you're prepping and you're a human being that needs to survive. And if these things are not on the shelves and you can't do normal things because of how the supply chain is decimated, you need to pay attention to this. The other side of me thinks, well, I'd like to be optimistic that they're going to do something and come to some agreement, but I don't want to be too optimistic, because we all saw what happened with the containers sitting off the coast of California. And somebody, I recall, said that they're going to do something about it, and they're going to fix it because it's ruining the supply chain. All these hundreds, thousands of containers sitting off of the ports in California for months. There's supposed to be something done about it. But it took forever and ever and ever, and it really did hurt our supply chain really bad. So I have no faith that they're going to do something about it. And actually, I think that possibly it's all by design. I don't think anything happening in the last couple of years has truly been organic. It's all part of a design. And yes, it sounds like a theory, but if you read up and research, this is by design. If you want to build something back better than it was before, you first have to destroy it. If you want to build a super ultra modern 5,000 square foot home, and you have a 1920s built 1,200 square foot home, are you just going to knock down a couple walls and build a couple extra walls off of that old home, or are you just going to completely tear down the 1920s home and start from scratch. It's probably more economical to just tear it all down and start from scratch. So part of me thinks, well, if things don't get straightened out, it's probably because they didn't want things to get straightened out. They didn't want to come to an agreement. They did want them to go on strike, and they did want things to fall apart. Because wouldn't that just be icing on the cake after everything we've gone through over the last couple of years? These railroad freight lines are an intricate, utterly important part of all of society. It moves products, it moves chemicals, it moves materials, it moves coal, which goes to the power plants, the coal production, power production plants. So another part of me thinks, why is it that everything that's going on always seems to go back to energy? We know they're pushing these new energy initiatives. There's been grid failures and all sorts of things like that. Well, if these freight lines stop running and they can't bring coal to the power production plants, that'll take a lot of people off of the grid. Or we'll have rolling blackouts all over the country. Coal doesn't fit into their ultimate plan of being green anyway. So why not stop it from getting to the power production plants? And then everyone will be in utter devastation because they will lose their power, and people will be desperate, and people will want change. They will want things to be different because it's so unpredictable. The way our power grid runs now is so unpredictable and so unreliable. We need something new, and people will be begging for some new form of power generation. This is just me thinking off the cuff. Feel free to leave your comments down below, but there's a reason I don't touch on these hot topics right away. It's because I like to see everybody's perspective and see everybody's input before I kind of form my own thoughts. And obviously I'm having a hard time forming my thoughts because I have 3 different ideas. Everything's going to go just fine, and they're going to strike some kind of agreement, and it was all just hubbub to keep people, on their toes and scared. 2, they want everything to fail. They want everything to come to a standstill. They want the supply chain to be decimated. And 3, it's all about power, and it's all about switching over to some new, clean, green energy. And that's my thoughts on it. So leave your comments down below. I'll see you in the next video.